to talk a bit more about the destruction of the dam and how it may now affect Ukraine's military strategy. I'm pleased to be joined on the programme live from Kyiv by Yuriy Sak, who's an advisor to Ukraine's Ministry of Defence. Welcome to the programme, sir. Thanks for talking to us.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting me.
Moscow is pointing the finger squarely at Ukraine for the destruction of this dam, calling it an act of sabotage. What's your response to that?
It's lies and propaganda. It's the same pack of lies they've used when they were claiming that it was not them who shot down the Malaysian MH17 Boeing in 2014. It is the same pack of lies they've used when they said that in Bucha, where they've committed massive mass murder and atrocities of unseen scale, they said that it was us who actually staged the massacre in Bucha. And they've been lying every day. Like, look, yesterday they were distributing a video on Russian social media about apparently the destruction by the Russian forces of the first Leopard tank. Now, look, this was a harvester combiner. And so what I'm trying to say is that trusting Russia is futile. They lie on a daily basis. Plus, our president said it very clearly. It was not just possible, logically, for Ukrainian side to do anything with this dam because it was blown up from inside. And, it was under Russia's control for the last, half a year. So, and we have intelligence that the Russian terrorists have been taking explosive and preparing for this for quite some time. So deep inside, they know now and they knew long before that Ukraine will come after them, that Ukraine will be winning this war. This is why, as an act of desperation, they've resorted to this terrorist attack. And this just underscores, why the international community has to stand with Ukraine, because we are dealing with a deranged, debased terrorist regime.
Right, but if I may, there are questions about why Russia would attack the dam, given that it has now been forced to evacuate its own troops, evacuate civilians, and the flooding could affect water supplies in Crimea. So it doesn't look in one way that this is in Russia's interest, does it?
These are the narratives that the Russian propaganda is planting in the Western audiences as well. But I have just answered your question very, very clearly and simply. Russia is losing on the battlefield. Russia is in panic. The terrorist regime is falling apart. They are suffering setbacks on the battlefields in Ukraine. They have a civil war uprising beginning inside Russia. So they are in chaos. They are in panic. They are paranoid. This is why they're using these terrorist tactics.
All right, your message is very clear. And if we do take your view then that it was Russia that blew up this dam, the timing seems to be rather interesting, doesn't it, when we've been talking about that Ukrainian counter-offensive that could begin at any time. It could be in this very region that is now flooded. Do you think this was a deliberate decision to explode the dam now and delay your counter-offensive?
Well, we are almost confident that this was what they were hoping for. They were scared, like I said, they're in panic, and they are thinking that by blowing out the dam, they are so debased and deranged that they have even flooded their own defense lines. We have video footage of Russian soldiers trying to evacuate from the flooded regions by inflatable boats. So, of course, they wanted to delay or somehow influence our military plans. Now, they have failed because they have no impact whatsoever on what we have planned.
It won't have any impact on what you're planning to do, you say, but no. It has been suggested, for example, that it would be harder now for the Ukrainian army to carry out assault crossings on the Dnipro River. Is that true?
Let me just tell you that the Ukrainian front line, unfortunately, is now more than 900 kilometers. And this is just the active front line, right? So trust me, there are other places where we can conduct successful military operations. This is why it's another miscalculation by these terrorists. They're just, in addition to being demoralized and degraded, they seem also a little bit stupid, to be honest.
Well, can you tell us then a bit more about perhaps not exactly how this counteroffensive of Ukraine's will unfold, but the timing of this? It was reported earlier this week that your deputy Minister of Defence had said Ukraine was moving to offensive operations. Does that mean the counteroffensive has begun?
Well, we do not disclose any specific plans, as you understand, because the element of surprise is part of the military strategy. And of course, we understand how everybody wants to know, when the counteroffensive will begin. But look, what we've said many times, first of all, clans love quiet and silence. Second of all, counteroffensive or offensive in our case, it's not just one event that has a beginning at a shot of a signal gun, right? It's a series of different complexity military operations. Some of them have been already taking place, shaping operations, probing operations, some counter-attacking operations in certain parts of the front line. So it is a mistake to sit back and think that we will be watching like a Netflix kind of battle scene from Game of Thrones, Battle of Bastards. It's not going to be like that. It's much more subtle. We are fighting a smart war. We understand that, we are standing up against a very large and brutal enemy, so we have to outsmart them. This is exactly what we want. We want them to be nervous. We want them to be losing sleep, and they are already paranoid because they have no idea what is coming next and where it will come from.
Yeah, and you say strategically the flooding of this part of southern Ukraine hasn't affected you on the battlefield, but in terms of morale, is this affecting Ukrainian soldiers, Ukrainian civilians?
Well, absolutely. It has a huge impact on the morale of our soldiers because it makes us even more angry and it makes us even more determined to continue our fight, to continue liberating our land, and to continue punishing these war criminals and terrorists. And this is exactly what is coming their way.
Yuriy Sak.
They just make us more angry.
Your message is heard loud and clear. Thank you very much indeed. That's Yuriy Sak, an advisor to the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense.
Thanks very much.